Right. Okay, we're going to make a start. So, welcome. And you can come to sit in a kneeling posture in Vajrasana. So this is a kneeling posture where we're sitting back on our heels, and you can take support if you need support. So just before we start, those of you dialing in from home, we're going to use limited equipment because, of course, I don't know what you've got at home. So we're going to have a blanket, a yoga block. Maybe some of you have seen my Instagram post this week of alternative household objects you can use. So, you know, box of tissues or something, and a regular yoga block. Well, if you haven't got one of these, a book, a hardback book will do the job. So hopefully you've all got things that can take the place of these objects. So we'll come and sit in Vajrasana. You can take support if you need to between your buttocks and your heels. So you can rest your hands lightly in your lap, and then you may close your eyes and find your breath. So this is something that we often begin our yoga classes with, coming to the breath, the finding the breath, the settling into the breath, but perhaps now even more so we need that return to the breath. So just take a few moments to sit and allow the breath to establish its own rhythm without you trying to do anything with the breath. And then you may bring your hands to your heart. So I'm going to chant a mantra here. You can chant at home. So I'm going to chant one round of the mantra. So this is a mantra which is called the Perum mantra. And it's the mantra that means the mantra to the supreme light, because here we find ourselves. Maybe some of you haven't realized because of everything else that's going on that it's the spring equinox day. So what a wonderful thing that is. Here we are moving into spring. So this mantra to the supreme light is Om Hreem Hamsa Soham Swaha. So I'll chant it once, and then we'll just chant it through once together as well. So I'll do once and then me for a second. Om Hreem Hamsa Soham Swaha. And then a deep breath in. Om Hreem Hamsa Soham Swaha. And then again, allow your breath to settle. And then you may open your eyes if you have your eyes closed. We're going to bring ourselves up onto our shins, so you can take your hands down and raise your arms up and lift up into the fingertips. Now your knees may be together or slightly apart, so you're comfortable. You can place padding under your knees if you need it. And then you can just feel into a little bit of movement here. So like we're rising up like a little seed sprouting for the spring. And we may move a little in the body, almost like a plant will lean towards the sun and move throughout the day as it leans in towards the sun. We can do that. Obviously, we're speeding up our day in our movement, but you can sway around. So you're feeling this as an energetic movement, maybe an energetic pull in each direction. And as you move the body, you are feeling into the stretch through the torso, through the sides of the body. You can turn into it. You can play into it. You can open your arms out wider as you wish. Okay, and then coming to settle in the center, bring your hands together and descend the hands down towards the heart. Release the shoulders, soften your forehead, release your jaw. And then we're going to bring ourselves up to standing. So stepping up, coming back. If you have a yoga mat, stepping so you are on your mat. If you don't have a mat, then stepping wherever you are. And pausing and breathing and finding, again, that natural rhythm of your breath. So we have this contact with the hands here in Anjali Mudra, in this prayer position with the heart center. Feel a little pressure there between the thumb and the breastbone. And, you know, that pressure, it's a little deepening into each other. The hands leaning into the heart leaning into the hands. And we're feeling, as we create that little bit of pressure there, there's also a lift, there's a rising up, there's an extension up through to the crown of the head and beyond. And you give yourself completely. Okay, we're going to take our arms out wide in a wide circle. So the arms come above the head and we continue that upwards growing. So we might play into this, we might bend our knees into this as we perhaps wiggle from side to side, sway into the posture, just feeling into a stretch. And, you know, I don't know about you, but this week has definitely brought some tightness into my body. Partly because I've been massively rushing trying to organize Zoom yoga classes and work my way through all this online streaming, which is very new to me. So, you know, I'm sure we've all had certain pressures this week in our body that, you know, really will now appreciate a stretch out, an extension, a lift up, and we can lift further, even lifting up the heel so we come up onto the balls of the feet and we breathe. Okay, we're going to bring the hands together. The hands are going to pass down through the midline of the body. We're going to bend down knees and we're going to come to a squat position with our hands into the heart. Your heels will be lifted. And we'll just pause here. So that pause is just a settling here. So this is what we're looking for. It's a day of equilibrium. It should be a day of complete equilibrium through the equinox. We have this equality of day and night that we're drawn into. So let's find equilibrium here in our posture, in our breath, in our body, in our mind, in our heart. Okay, now let's bring our fingertips to the floor. And we're going to start to lift our bum up. And then we're going to take our legs into a wide stride here. So just step straight into a wide stride. So we find ourselves in Prasarita Padottanasana. number one, the first stage. So just check the alignment. So the midline of each foot is in line with the midline of the opposite foot. And then here on our fingertips, we pause, we move around, we can breathe, and we can start to play into this. So we might move the legs, you may bend a knee, you may even lift up a heel. So you can move from side to side, you can work into it as you need to. And you can breathe into it. So pressing into the fingertips, lifting. You can let the body lower into it. You can let the body lift. You can walk the hands as you wish. You may walk the hands from side to side. That's it. Deep breaths. Forehead soft. Jaw released. So this is one of our sort of mantra phrases almost, because the face is often the part of the body that will reflect our internal experience, but also the external passes through the face. Okay. We come to settle in the center now, and now you might find after that moving around that you've started to release perhaps a little in the hamstrings, in the back of the thighs. Maybe your lower back is starting to dip down from that release. So we're going to walk our fingertips so we can get that extension through the body. Now you don't have to come all the way down to a forward bend. We're just playing with this extension here. We're breathing into the back of the thighs, maybe into the inner thighs. Don't get caught in your neck, so you can move your head and neck as you need to. And breathe. Okay, you can slide your hands back in and come up onto your fingertips. And we're going to walk ourselves around. So you can walk towards your left foot. So as you walk towards your left foot, you're going to rotate on your feet. So you can have a little bit of space here between the feet across the width of your mat if you have a yoga mat, but we're not placing one foot directly in front of the other. We've got a bit of space either side, and then we're just going to play into a little bit of movement here so we can reach into that stretch of the groin of the back leg, and we can move back and forth and breathe into it. So we may bend lower, we may dip the back knee in to reach into that stretch, lifting up, extending the leg. You can walk your hands back if that's helpful, and you breathe and you enjoy the breath and you enjoy the movements of your body. That's all there is in this moment. So if you've had time where your mind has been consumed, which we all have to a certain level, but it's not often that we have this sort of joint or shared experience of something that is consuming many people. So it kind of intensifies it when there's a lot of us becoming consumed with one particular subject matter. So whether or not you have been caught up in that, now is a time to just allow yourself to feel the body, to feel the breath, to come into the heart center. That's all that matters here and now. Okay, we're going to walk ourselves around to the other side. So walk your hands to the inside of the foot, let yourself rotate on your legs and come all the way to the other side. And then again, checking that your foot is not directly in front of the other, so you've got space, sort of hip width across your mat for your feet. And then again, you may move. So you can move back and forth. You can breathe. And you can allow yourself to enjoy this moment. This is your little moment of respite, of taking a break from all that is. And to the center. Even if it's just this 90 minutes that we return to our center, the more we orientate ourselves there, the easier it is for us to return again and again. Okay, walk through the inside of your foot, turn back through your legs, and then we're going to walk the feet in a little so we can bring ourselves up. We'll press into the fingertips and bring the body all the way up, and then we'll step the feet in towards each other. Tadasana, feet in close together. Release the shoulders, forehead soft, jaw released. Breath settling. So tune into the sensations in the body. Not just the surface sensations, but go in deep. Maybe you can feel into the depths of, the warmth through the body as we practice. Maybe you can go in deep and have sense or even visualize the bones of the body, visualizing your skeleton standing here, and we go deep into that and we feel even deep into the bones themselves. And then we feel everything that surrounds them. And the forehead softens and the jaw releases. And we give ourselves here to the breath, to the body, to this moment. Okay, I'm going to turn sideways onto my mat. You may or may do that at home as the space is working for you. I'm turning sideways so you can see me from the side. We're going to raise our arms up and we're going to lift. We're going to press into the feet and lift and lift and lift and lift and lift. Now we're going to allow this to perhaps move back in towards a back arch, but I don't want you to move up and do this. What I want you to do is to rise up, and as you rise up, it's like you are arcing the body over, and that's coming from the lift. So there's a lift, there's an extension, there's a deepening of the feet into the floor, there's a little tone around the pelvic floor without tightening, and there's a tone through the belly, a lift in the chest, and then you may take your arms back. We don't have to move really far back into a deep back bend, but what we are just feeling into this opening of the armpits, the stretch through the shoulder. Move your head forwards if you need to. So if you get tight in the neck, tucking the chin forwards will help you. Keeping this tone in the lower belly will support you. Okay, now bringing your hands together and drawing your hands down towards the heart center, and again just come back and feel the contact between your hands and your breastbone. And then find your breath. Okay. Now we're going to release the hands, and you're going to raise up your arm that's furthest from me. You're going to then lift up your knee that's closest to me. So we come into a little balance here. One arm up, one knee up. That's it, breathe. And then we're going to take this into a variation of Vajrasana 3. So it's a standing posture. Normally we have both arms above our head, but we're going to take one arm back with the leg and one arm forward. So we're bringing the body towards this T shape. Now the back leg, what wants to happen often is because the gluteal muscles really want to engage to help support the back leg, if our hamstrings are a little lazy, is that the leg wants to turn out, but we want to rotate the toes in. We can make the back of the thighs work to support this, and we can breathe. Okay, we're going to bring ourselves back up. Slowly return your hand down by your side. Return your foot next to the other one and take a deep breath. And just enjoy, and then maybe another deep, steady breath might follow, and we can give ourselves to that breath. So although the circumstances of our practice are different, you're at home, I'm here, and maybe different normally doing in our yoga practice. Give yourself to your yoga practice like I was literally in the room with you. Like, you have the combined energy of other people who are practicing with us. So this is the magic of a yoga class, is that we all come together and we kind of get carried along the journey of the combined focus that we all have there in a yoga class. Now, whether or not we're in the room together or not, we're doing this at a distance, we are still practicing together here. Okay, so we're going to come to the other side with that. We're going to raise your arm that is closest to me if you're sideways on, or the opposite arm to which you just did, and you're going to lift up and breathe. And then again, we're going to bend up the knee, so the opposite knee. And then we're going to fold ourselves into this, and just feel as you fold yourself into this, as you're focusing on this, don't let that focus be a sort of contraction into you trying to do this. There are other people trying to do this with you. So here we are. That's it, breathe. Again, watch out for those buttocks overly engaging. Keep the toes pointing towards the floor. Okay, coming back, drawing the leg back in, placing the foot next to the other one, releasing your arm down, and again, find your breath. And give yourself to your breath completely. The breath is it's our constant, isn't it? As everything constantly changes, and this is, part of, where we have anxiety and suffering in life is often because we come up against the idea of change, or we have an idea that things are more fixed than they are, and when they don't meet our expectations of how they should be, because everything is in flux continually, then perhaps we may suffer in some way. So the constant that we have in our life is our breath. So come into the breath. You are having difficulty breathing, you can feel into it. You can have a spacious relationship around your breath. It's not grasping, it is just holding the space for it to come and go as it needs to. Okay, we're going to roll our arms back up above our head. We're going to be going into Utkatasana. So we're going to lift up through the arms. We're going to move a little perhaps to start to encourage this stretch through the sides of the body. We're going to bring a little light tone to the belly. Lift, extend, inhale. And then exhale, hinging your ankles, knees, and we come in tight posture, and we might move here, we may bounce here, we might sway here. We can move the arms here. We don't want to overly arch the back, but what we do want to do is to feel into it. So you may wiggle a little from side to side, perhaps. That's it, breathe. Okay, we're going to keep ourselves in this seated position, and we're going to take our arms back behind us. Okay, now we're going to interlace our fingers behind us, and we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other a little as we pause here. And again, we may perhaps bounce into it to be able to feel into it as we breathe. Okay, now bring the hands, descend them back to the buttocks, and then release. I'm going to fold ourselves forward so you can bring your belly towards your thighs, towards the thighs. We're going to bring our hands to the floor, shoulder width apart, and we're going to step ourselves back in downward facing dog. And down facing dog, we're going to move around a little from side to side. Belly, extending a leg, swaying the hips, dipping the shoulders, perhaps, whatever works for you to allow you to explore the body, to play into the pose. Okay, then coming down, hands and knees. We're not going to heels or move ourselves. We're just going to pause on our hands and knees for a moment and settle here. So those deep breaths as you need them. Now we can lift up our feet. If this is comfortable in your knees, obviously you can take padding with your blanket or towel underneath your knees, but you can lift your feet up, take a little lean forwards, press into your hands, and then take a little sway. Take a sway of the feet like you're a dog with a tail. So it was lovely as I arrived here to this very lonely yoga class or lonely space, and coming through town, I drove over. It's much quieter, there's not many people around, but just outside the Tree of Life there were two people who were walking their dogs separately, and then the dogs sort of ran over to each other and they stopped and they were talking at distance, but of course the dogs were up against each other, sniffing, wagging their tails at each other. This is what reminded me of that. And it was kind of a nice moment to see that interaction and that close interaction, because, you know, we're not having much of that at the moment. But we don't have to have that physical contact to feel connection. Let your feet come down. You can make or feel connection by choosing us. You know, someone, we can even have our arm around them, but we could be distant from them. We're doing that. But we can also have, you know, communication where we are, you know, with someone and we're really listening. We're really listening to what they're saying. We're really observing. And this is the same connection that we're looking for in our body in yoga. We're looking for this deep listening, this deep observation, not just flinging our body into a yoga shape, but we're feeling through the body. Now we're going to take ourselves to a child pose. So I want you to allow yourself to slowly come back, to slowly let the buttocks to descend towards the heels. Breathing into the inner groin area as you feel into that depth. And you may keep your head lifted as mine is now, whilst you allow the pelvis to settle, whilst you allow the buttocks to descend into the heels, whilst you breathe. And then you may allow your head to release towards the floor perhaps, or if you've got your block or a folded blanket or towel, if you need a bit of support, that can be there, and you can bring your head down onto something. Now you may keep your arms either forwards, or you can slide the hands back and breathe. So just staying there in child pose for a few moments, a few breaths. And let yourself really be there in these few moments. So we're not waiting to move on to the next thing. We're just being here fully, completely. Everything that came before, everything that is to come is irrelevant here, just in this moment. There is just you curled up with your breath. And in that curling up, there's this return into the center of our being. It's a little nurturing quality. We've all had those moments when, perhaps if you're feeling unwell, or, you have emotional things happening in your life, we kind of have that need to curl in, because it's that way of getting into our center. It's the body reflecting that there's a need to draw in. So let yourself be in here. Okay, you may bring yourself up from child pose, raising the head. You can use your hands if you wish to push the floor, or please sit up and take a breath. Okay, now we're going to take our legs out in front of us, so you can extend your legs out along your mat. And then here you might need your block or book, whatever you have, and you might need your blanket too. So we're going to have our legs out in front of us. We can draw our buttock flesh out and back. And then we're going to take, so let's do the same leg, the left leg, we can pull back. So what we want to do is to be really soft around the leg, soft around the top of the thigh, soft into the inner groin. So when we draw that leg back into a Janu Shirshasana position, what we're going to do is be so soft that we are able to perhaps pull the heel in towards its own thigh. Not everyone can do that, so your heel may be in towards the top of the opposite thigh. And then again, you might draw back the buttock of the extended leg to help you turn in towards the straight leg. Now, you can raise yourself up on your block or on your book if you need to, if you're feeling a little collapsed. So let me just move this top out of the way, if I can do this without moving my AirPods from my ears, which hopefully are giving you a better sound quality. So if you feel a little collapsed in your posture like this, then sitting on a block, of course lifting up, but sitting on a block will help you to get that lift. If you're raising up your seat and you need some support underneath your knee, you can pop your towel there too. Now let's place our hands either side of the extended leg. So you press into your fingertips, you lift, you turn. You soften your forehead, you release your jaw. And then you play here again into a little bit of movement. It might be a little swaying. What we're looking for is to find this lift up in the body, but not a lift is a sort of a static, held position that is, tight. Sometimes we can sort of overly lift and then we start to feel the gripping of the back muscles as we attempt to get this rising up through the body. So if you notice that gripping coming in, I want you to back off a moment, take a breath, and then start rising up again, but with an intention of keeping softness in the body, with an intention of space. So this is why movement is always useful, because movement allows us to, give to the posture without getting caught up by the posture. Now we may perhaps move forward. So this is a forward bending posture, but in that forward bending, we're not looking, although we have the name Janu Shirshasana, which means knee head pose, often translated as knee to head, but we just have the words knee head in there. So there's a little mistaken identity with this posture and with many forward bends, that we have to try and get in like this. But what we want to do is find length. We want to feel that, if we are going to the leg, we've lifted and lengthened and almost draped our upper body over the leg. And we've done it in a way that's soft, like, a piece of silk. So no rushing if you keep that lift in your chest. A really honest forward bending posture, Janu Shirshasana or Paschimottanasana, regular forward bend, will in reality 5 to 10 minutes for us to lower ourselves down towards the leg. And even then, we might not get there. The body might not be ready to get there. But even if we can easily fall over, it's not the point. The feeling flow, and we can feel that flow up through the back of the leg, up through the back of the body, like we are feeding it forwards. It's a circular flow. As you walk yourself forward, you may perhaps take hold of your foot. Breathe. Okay, we'll come up slowly, steadily. Pausing, breathing. And then we'll bring the bent leg in towards us, so you can place your hand underneath your knee. You can draw your leg in, you can extend that leg forwards. You can give yourselves a little bit of movement as you need to settle yourself. And then we're going to take the other leg. So again, you can take hold of the shin with your hand. You can be really soft around the leg. So just let the leg sort of move out from the body and then start to draw that leg in. I'll turn myself around so it's easier for the camera. Draw that leg in, and then as that leg comes in, you if you've softened enough around this area, then there's more chance of being able to draw the heel in effectively. So we get this pull back, and then we need to turn back in towards our extended leg. So draw back your buttock of your extended leg. That will help you because that's adjusting the sitting bones. It's the sitting bone of that leg. If we pull that back, then we're going to be pulled in towards the leg. You can then sit yourself on a block as you need to, or your block equivalent. You can pop something under your knee if you need to. And then just extend out the foot. So we want the toes to be pointing up. What can happen is that this leg can go super floppy, and that's nice for a moment to settle ourselves, but then we want to come into engagement. So lift up the heel of the extended leg and place the foot there so you're resting exactly in the center of the back of the heel, so the toes are up. And then hands on the floor, either side of the extended leg, pressing into the fingertips, lifting, turning, breathing, softening your forehead, releasing your jaw. And then start to find that lift. Now, find that lift. We're not standing or sitting to attention. We are, like that little seed that we replicated at the beginning of the class. We are lifting and growing into the light. So you may play, you may move, you may sway. And then again, as the body finds lift and length, you may then perhaps fold forwards. Deep breaths. Forehead softens and jaw releases. So, I almost can't repeat this phrase too much, because that filter of the face, if we can soften it, then our relationship between the external and internal is more expansive, it's more spacious. We get less contracted into just being this being that's caught up solely in this body. But we start to feel, into the energy body, we start to feel into the space around us. The body may start to descend perhaps towards the leg, but it's not just a fold, it's a length, a lift, and a draping action. Now, I can't see you there at home, so you have to keep coming back. You have to keep checking in. Am I practicing with ahimsa, with kindness, essentially, to myself? Do I need to grasp? No, you're not even in a position where you can show off how good your pose is to other people because you're practicing at home. So, there's no need for any grasping at all. Okay, when you're ready, you may come up. Don't rush out. Come up slowly, walking your hands in towards you. Feel that return to the upright position. As we return to the upright position, there's a point at which it feels like the spine just settles. So just allow yourself to feel that. Okay, we're going to bring the knee back in towards us, and we're going to extend that leg out in front of us. Now, what we're going to do is take our hands behind us here. You may, before we do that, actually, maybe some of you might need to move the legs, wiggle out the feet, wiggle out the body. And then we're going to take our hands behind us. So we're going to have this little bit of space between the buttocks. So, really vigilant at home because you haven't got a yoga teacher that can see you practicing. So, really check. Your hands, your fingertips they're about sort of, it's about 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters or so behind your buttocks. And your hands are placed shoulder width apart. And then we're going to place our feet on the floor there. So you can just about get your toes onto the floor. So you've got this space at the back of the knees. So almost like if you take your feet too far forward, they can't get to the floor. So you just slide them so you can just about get them down, okay? We're going to be lifting up, and we're going to lift up through the hips. And as we lift up through the hips, they're going to rise up. We're going to be pressing firmly through the hands. And then we're going to have this action of extending forwards through the knees. They're going to extend forwards in that direction. And the upper body is going to reach back in this direction. And then we may be able to, if we extend far enough back through the chest and open across the collarbones, we may be able to take the head back. But if it's not comfortable in your neck, you can tuck your chin forwards. So hands in position. Take a couple of breaths here. Okay. And then we're going to take a nice deep inhalation to prepare. And we're going to lift up on an exhalation. So scoop your pelvis forwards and lift up, press into your feet. You're extending forwards towards your knees. You're lifting up through the chest. You're feeling this action of projecting the breastbone over the collarbones. Your head may come back, but if this is not comfortable, don't hold your head halfway, but you can tuck your chin forwards, but keep lifting through the pelvis. That's it, breathe. Fantastic. Calm down, thumb on the floor. Take a breath. We're going to come down onto our forearms here. So elbows beneath the shoulders, hands to the floor. So we're getting a little squeeze in of the shoulder blades here. Now, we may be able to press into our hands as we lift our bum up, and it might be that we can slightly move our bum forwards a little. So you can get a little bit more of a stretch there into the shoulders. You can feel the broadening across the collarbones, and you can breathe. Your chin can tuck forwards. Okay, fantastic. Now press into your hands, push up. Come round onto your hands and knees. And we're going to bring our forearms onto the floor. Now, there may be a residue of sensation because we had that deep squeezing together of the shoulder blades. Perhaps you can feel the release opening out in that area between the shoulder blades now, spreading out towards the shoulders into the neck. So just breathe into that. Enjoy that space, enjoy that. You know, it's almost like being washed with release, I find, when I come out of a posture where there's been a strong engagement and then I release those muscles. It's almost like it's water being poured over that area. Okay, so your elbows are shoulder width apart. Your hands are shoulder width apart. You can spread your fingers so there's space between the fingers, but you're not overly gripping. You're not stretching too much into them that it feels tight. So we don't need to see into those tendons of the hand, but what we do want to do is feel space between the fingers. Now we're going to lift up our knees, press into the forearms, so we extend through the upper body, and we're going to play here. Deep breaths. Okay, now just walk your feet in a little closer if you can. Press your forearms into the floor so your head's not on the floor. You're opening up the armpits. You're breathing. Okay, now we're going to keep our forearms where they are. We're going to walk the feet back until we can bring the body towards a straight line. So a plank type position here. That's it, breathe. And then from this plank position, so you can lift the chest forwards, you can extend back into the heels, you can tone your belly, and then you can slowly come down. So we're bringing the top of the thighs to the floor, the pubis to the floor, the lower belly to the floor, and then we're allowing chest to lift. We get this deepening of the shoulder blades into the back ribs. You may extend your toes out. You may breathe here. Okay, now you may even press into your hands and perhaps lift the elbows a little, making sure you've got enough space. Shoulder blades deep into the back ribs. Okay, now let's fold ourselves down towards the floor. Feel a stretch out through the tissue of the belly. So you're pressing your hands into the floor and you're lifting almost like you're trying to hook your ribs over the end of your mat. And then come down, rest your hands on your mat and rest your head on your hands. Release the buttocks. Your heels may perhaps fall out or roll out to the side. And you will just breathe. You may rest on the side of your head or on your forehead, whatever's more comfortable. Okay, so just raise your head up now and just come up onto your forearms for a moment. And well, I'm not sure how this is going to work for you at home. I don't know which direction you're facing in. So I'm just going to use left and right as our terms of reference. So we're going to slide the left knee up. Okay, so you slide the left knee up past your hip. And then we're going to take the right arm underneath the left arm. So you end up lying on your side. You can bring one hand on top of the other. Now, if you've ended up facing away from your screen at home, just listen. So one hand is on top of the other. Your hands are directly out in front of you, in line with your chest. Your left knee is up past the hip. Now move this into a twist. So we're going to raise the left arm up and let the body roll. You can let your knee slide back and you can take the arm up, up, up and over and out behind you. Now that might be quite strong, but we're just going to allow that movement. Maybe we may touch the floor. If it's really strong, you can take your arm up higher above the head. If that's not working out, just feel into that stretch, touch into it, and then we're going to bring the arm back over. So returning the hand to the other hand, you may let your knee slide forwards and breathe and let the front groin area open. If you have the right surface off your mat, you may be able to slide, but perhaps you're on carpet. So you may have to lift and adjust. And let's do that again. So we allow the hand to lift, we allow the body to move, we allow the arm to extend behind us. We breathe. And then we bring the arm back, we return. So feel this movement across your right hip. Feel the shifting weight. Feel your sliding knee if it is able to slide on the surface that you have. Feel the movement between a sort of closing action here on our side and an opening up as we open up once again. Feeling the rolling out across the shoulder, the extension through the chest. Now you might find, now we've moved into this 3 times, that perhaps the arm descends more easily because the biceps of the upper arm, the chest, the pectoralis muscles are giving to the posture a little more. So we'll just pause there in this fairly open-ish twist. And then again, we're going to come back. So bring your arm over. Return your hand to your other hand. You can let the knee slide forward. So don't forget to open up this space in the inner groin. So don't get caught or stuck with the hip back. You can slide into it. So you're almost turning onto your belly, onto your front here in this position. Okay, we're going to come back to the center. So slide the knee down, release your leg down next to the other, roll to your belly, come onto your forearms. Take a breath here, move it out if you need to. Perhaps you need to extend the legs out. Perhaps you need to have a little shake or a little wiggle. And then we're going to do the other side. So you're going to draw your right knee up along the side of the body. And you can get that knee higher than your hip. And then from here, you're then going to place your left arm underneath your right arm. And then you let the body come down to the floor, lay your head on the floor, and then you place your right hand on top of the left hand, and you just pause there on your side. You can let yourself, almost collapse into it. So we just want to be really free and easy here. And then we're going to open out. So we're going to inhale as we start to raise that arm and we roll back. The knee rolls back with us. We extend the arm out back behind us. And again, we're just going to touch the floor, whether or not we have to take that arm higher to be able to do that. And then we're going to return. So I can certainly feel this first action is so much different to that last time I did the movement on the other side. So let yourself relax into it. Let that knee slide forward, the groin area open, and then continue. A second time, the arm is raising up, the body is opening out. The arm is extending back behind us, maybe coming to touch the floor, breathing into this stretch down through the back of the body, and then bringing your arm back over, sliding into it. Just let yourself move back and forth into the pose. And then our last time, raising the arm up and letting the body turn into it. And then we'll pause here. You can adjust this front arm if you need to, so it feels a little closed around the left side of the chest. You may take the left arm a little higher. That's it. Breathe. Okay, we're going to bring that arm back over now to return the hand to the other hand. And then sliding that leg back down, draw your hand in so you've got some support, and you roll yourselves back to your belly. You come onto your forearms, and again, you adjust as you need to so you can feel centered, settled, And, wiggle out any sort of dispersed energy in the body. That's it, breathe. Okay, now hopefully you have some space in front of you. Maybe you can adjust where you are if you don't have that space in front of you. But if you don't fully have space in front of you, you can bend your elbows and hold your elbows for this. We're going to take our arms forwards and we're going to keep the palms in towards each other. If you haven't got that space, just hold your elbows. That's it. And lift the hands up. Now we're going to lift the hands up and lift the chest. We can feel the lower ribs in contact with the floor. And then we're going to lift our legs up as well. Now, hopefully, this is where if you're practicing on a carpet, you get the benefits of that added cushioning beneath the pubis. So just breathe. Now we're going to take the arms out. Turn your palms away from each other, staying up, taking the arms around almost like you're swimming or diving, perhaps. Calming to bring the hands down by the side of the body, keeping the legs lifted a little. And then releasing and folding yourself to the floor. So again, it's almost a draping action. We fold ourselves down. We relax to the floor. You can use your hands if you need to underneath your head. You can rest your head to the side or rest on your forehead. And breathe. Okay. Tuck your toes under, hands to the floor. Press hands. Push up. Come back to your heels. Vajrasana. Take support if you need to with your folded blanket between your buttocks and heels, or any support you need underneath your ankles. So you've dialed into this class, I'm sure. I think it's only my yoga students that have seen the links for this, so I know that you're all familiar with what you need. So take what you need. Rest your hands in your lap. And what we need more than ever is to come to the center, to not get caught up in the periphery or to be pulled by the periphery. So coming into our center allows us to expand out, but we expand out from that central point. We don't expand out into other little microcosms, which is what we normally rest our attention in, the sort of micro. But if we go deep into the center of our being, what we then expand out into is us, everything, all, fullness. Okay, I'd like you to just lift your bum up so you can tuck your toes under, and then with the toes tucked under, you're going to come back and just sit back on the heels. We're going to give that little stretch to the soles of the feet. The plantar fascia can get quite tight, so just stretch into that, breathe into that. You can play into it, you can move into it, wiggle. And you may only be able to stay for a few moments. This can be very strong for some people, so release when you need to release. Okay, now you may release, you can release your feet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our blanket or towel. We're going to do something that's very familiar to my students, which is to fold it up into quarters, or the equivalent of a quartered yoga blanket, whatever you are using, and we're going to roll that. So we make a little sort of sausage thin bolster for us to lay over. So when you've rolled up that blanket, so you roll up the blanket like so, and then you're going to lay over that. So you're going to lay over that. It's going to come into this part. I'm coming in closer to the camera so you can see. So it's directly behind the breastbone. It's this area, it's sort of in line with the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. So if I place something into me here, what happens is my chest opens. If it's lower, my chest tends to collapse towards the floor, so I sort of cave in like this. And if it's higher, it pushes my shoulders forward. So, you know, I know probably everyone who's doing this class tonight is very familiar with this and knows what they're doing. You can have some support for your head if you need it. So hands onto the blanket and then come down, chest is open, shoulders released towards the floor, arms out nice and wide. And then you can extend out the legs if that's comfortable. I'm going to take a few deep breaths here, enjoying that openness. So the belly can soften, the jaw can release. And you can give yourself completely. So allow the breath to flow, and you might need to take some deeper breaths if it's really strong into the back of the body. But it's okay if it's strong. You know, you're free to move. You might move the head and neck. You may move out the shoulders. Okay, and then what we're going to do, we're going to bring our feet to the floor. And then we're going to just play with a little movement here so we can change the pressure across the blanket. So we're going to let the knees move over to one side. Now you can pick up one, sit on top of the other. So we're going into a little twist here. So just a fairly open twist so we can have some space around the belly and around the front groin area. But you can feel your weight shifting over towards the side that you've dropped your knees to. And then we'll roll back into the center, feeling that little roll across the buttocks, coming back into the center, realigning the feet as you need to. And then again, letting the knees drop to the other side. You may pick up a knee and place it on top of the other. And then you can feel the deeper contact with the blanket on that side of your body, and you can breathe into it. And then you may roll back into the center, a slow roll back in so you can feel that pressure across the buttock as you roll back in. You get a little mini buttock massage there, and then you can Place yourself into an easy alignment, pelvis and shoulders in line with each other. Bring your feet in a little closer towards the buttocks now, and then press into the feet and just lift your pelvis just a little away from the floor, maybe about a centimetre away from the floor. And then as you lift up through the pelvis, you roll your shoulders to the floor, you can press into your feet, you can bring your hands to your blanket, your towel, whatever it is, you can push it forwards to remove it and bring your pelvis back down to the floor. And then bring your hands there onto your belly. Maybe both hands on your belly, or one hand on your belly and one hand on the heart. And just feel that this practice, what we're doing is resourcing ourselves. And how we resource ourselves is by going into the center, because we're not so identified with the ever-changing fluctuations within the chitta, within the heart mind. So the heart mind is the space where, we experience thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And we know from experience deep down that they are inherently, thoughts, feelings, and emotions are inherently unstable. That they change constantly. Yet we try often to attach to them. But we're trying to attach to something that's moving. So what we do to resource ourselves is we come into the center, we find that place that's constant, the heart center, that is, the point at which we can drop into awareness. Awareness is our constant. Consciousness is our constant. Okay, you're going to bring your knees in towards your chest and take hold, either holding each knee independently or interlacing the fingers around the shins. And you can play, you can move a little, perhaps back and rocking, enjoying, taking aim, squeezing out the air between your back and the floor, enjoying the sensation, that simple sensation of the weight of your own body moving across back. It's simple, but it's delightful when we really drop into that. Okay, then coming into the center, I'd like you to release your hands from your shins. I'd like you to raise your legs up towards the ceiling. We'll take our arms above our heads so you can hold your elbows if you need to for space. And you can walk out the shoulders, you can lift up the back a little and create some space in the back. You can wiggle out the pelvis. And then we're just going to feel into some movement through the feet. So we're going to point the toes. That's it, plant a flexion of the foot. And then extend into the heels, drawing the toes back towards the shins, dorsiflexion. So we move between these two actions. You may get a little cracking in your ankles, which I nearly always get in my ankles. So you can just feel into that action there. And then we'll circle the feet. So you can circle the feet together. They might go in the same direction or they may mirror each other. So different people tend to do one or the other, either both feet moving together or both feet mirroring each other. It doesn't matter which is your option you go for, but just let the feet move. So you're just getting into that movement of the ankles. Keep breathing. So obviously there's a little tone here in the belly that's helping you to keep your legs lifted. Okay, and then you may release your legs, place your feet to the floor. We're going to roll onto the side to come up from the side. So take your time. When we've been laying down for a while like that, we tend to, sometimes we can feel a little dizzy if you've got a tendency to low blood pressure. And then we're just going to come into a comfortable seated posture. And in that comfortable seated posture, so take support as you need. So I've come into Sukhasana, knees above ankles. You can come into Siddhasana, sitting on a block, so you're in a wider position like this, or you can come into a kneeling position. I just want you to be in a position where you are upright in your body. And what we're going to do, I'm not going to do it fully because I've got his AirPods in, but we're going to come into Brahmari breath. So we are going to close our eyes. So don't, watch what I'm doing before you do this. You will be closing your eyes with your middle finger and ring finger, just lightly resting the fingers, not pressing into the eyes. You're going to be closing the inner little flap of your ear, the tragus, with your thumb. So you shut off sound. And then you're going to be control of air with your ring fingers through your nose. So you can slide your fingers down. So you've just got this little past the bony structure of the nose into the cartilage. So you partially close the nostrils. And then what you'll be doing is taking a deep breath in, and you can take a deep breath out, and then you can take a breath in with partially closed nostrils with the mudra, and then as you exhale with partially closed nostrils, you'll be creating a humming sounder. So this is the practice. We're going to do 3 rounds of that humming. So ears closed. Here you won't hear me, but you will hear your own inner sound of the Brahmari breath. So closing your eyes, taking the mudra, 3 rounds, and then rest your hands. So now it's from here that we're going to lay down for Shavasana. Have the usual ticking clock, which I normally get up and move for Shavasana. I'm going to move it in case that ticking, I don't know whether it will come through. I'm still gonna just move so you're all here on the floor in the room with me. And then, of course, I probably don't need to dim the lights particularly. You've just got the light on the screen, but I will dim them. Maybe that will dim your screen a little. And make yourselves comfortable as you always would. So closing your eyes, setting your breath, yourself completely. Feel into the fullness of your body, feel into the fullness of being. The fullness of nature, of Prakriti. That form of being which we use to access the formless. Your breath flows with grace, with warmth and love. I'm going to read you in English a famous passage from the Upanishads, and then I will chant it in Sanskrit afterwards. So, this is the meaning. Om. That is full. This is full. Fullness comes forth from fullness. When fullness is taken from fullness, fullness remains. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamiva Vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is full, this is full. Fullness comes forth from fullness. And fullness is taken from fullness. Fullness remains. Take a slower, steadier breath. And bend your knees and place your feet to the floor. And then you may gently roll onto your right side and pause there. And then again, when you're ready, you may gently roll over onto your other side and pause there. And then slowly starting to bring yourself out in your own time with movement, with breath, whatever you need. You can come to comfortable seated posture to close the class as we would normally do when you're all here with me in person. We're going to chant Om 3 times together. So you can bring your hands to your heart. And a deep inhalation to prepare. Om. 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 Thank you all very much. Namaste. Thank you. I don't know who's there, but I'm coming over to the phone now to find out if